Notebook LM is an innovative product from Google Labs, formerly known as Project Tailwind. This experimental tool is Google's attempt to reinvent note-taking software using AI technology, particularly robust language models, hence the LM in the name of the product. So what exactly is Google trying to solve with this new product? What challenge are they trying to overcome? Well, according to Google, and I actually agree with them on this, one of the biggest challenges we face is synthesizing facts and ideas from multiple sources. Yes, we have access to tons of information, and very often we already have the sources of information we want to use for a particular project. However, making the connections and drawing conclusions from all these sources can be difficult and time-consuming. This is where Google's Notebook LM comes in. So let's take a look at how this new product actually works. So before we jump into Notebook LM and get started, I should mention that for now, this product is only available in the US and for a select number of users. You can go to the link provided in the description to check if you have access to it. You only really need a Google account for it. If you go to this link, you'll see here the Notebook LM link. Just go ahead and click on that and it'll take you to Notebook LM product. So when we first access Notebook LM through a browser, we are greeted with a very simple, in this home screen you'll see some example notebooks created by Google, and you will see a new notebook button to create your own notebooks. Basically, and we can read over this explanation, the way this works is you're going to create a new notebook for every project or task that you are trying to accomplish and that you have multiple sources that you want to draw conclusions from. Then you will add your sources. This can be either a Google Doc, a PDF, or you can copy text directly from another source. After you already have your sources loaded for that particular notebook, aka that particular project, then you can ask Notebook LM questions about your source to help you explain, summarize, brainstorm, and more. You'll click on your sources and you can auto-generate summaries and key topics. So, I know this might be a little confusing, but let's go over an example. So let's say that you have to write a research paper, or you actually have to do a project on dogs, right? And you've already pulled a lot of information online about dogs, you downloaded a few PDFs, and now you're ready to start dissecting the information that you've obtained. So for that, we can use Notebook LM, and we'll click here on New Notebook, and we'll create a new project. In this case, I'm gonna name it Dogs Version 1. Click on Save, and as you can see, the Dogs Version 1 notebook or project opens up, and we have a new workspace to work with here in Notebook LM. Over on the left side, we have our sources, where we'll be adding, again, the information we've already obtained, either in PDF format from Google Drive, just copying text from the web or from somewhere else directly into Notebook LM. And we have our notes workspace, where we can save any notes or conclusions that we draw from this information. And just as a note, we can actually create our own written notes. Let's say I want to remember the due date for this paper that I'm trying to write. Okay, so I can actually add notes manually, and then we'll have our chat that we can interact with as soon as we start loading sources into Notebook LM. So let's start loading some sources into our project. And again, think of Notebook LM as a virtual research assistant that, based on the sources that we're going to provide, it can summarize facts, explain complex ideas, and brainstorm new connections. Okay, so just keep that in mind. Just think of it as a virtual research assistant. But for now, let's add some sources. Again, I have all the information I've obtained on dogs in a PDF format, and I'm going to start loading this into Notebook LM. So there, I've loaded all my sources into Notebook LM. As you saw, unfortunately, right now I cannot select all and upload them at the same time. I have to select each source individually, but I'm sure that will get fixed in future. So notice how I still cannot interact with the chat box down below. And the reason is because I need to select which sources I want Notebook LM to consider when creating ideas or answering the questions that I'm inputting, right? So as of right now, I've selected 3 sources, and it will only use those 3 sources when replying to me on the questions that I'm asking, right? So let's say I want a summary, right? I'm just gonna ask it for a summary. Again, it should, since I'm only selecting 3 sources, it should only give me a summary of those 3 papers. Okay, so I'm gonna wait for it to reply, and then we'll run the same questions, the same question, selecting all the sources and see if it varies a little. Okay, so it looks like it came up with a few bullet points. Add more sources. As you can see down below, we're working now with 6 sources. Let's ask it the same question. And as you see, the summary kind of varied a little bit, right? So before we had a few more bullets, now it considered more information and it gave us a more condensed answer. But again, that answer is based on 6 sources now instead of 3. And let's say I want to keep this highlight or this summary of my sources. You can always click this pin button and it will actually save that as a new note. And usually it just gives it the name new saved note, but you can obviously overwrite it. And I'm just going to put summary. Okay. Something else that's really cool about NotebookLM is that it actually comes up with questions to ask that are all based on the sources that you provided, right? So for example, here it's asking what are the recommended daily allowances for vitamin A, D, and E when it comes to dogs. Let's just ask that. And it gives us here our answer based on the sources. If I need to see where NotebookLM pulled that information from, I can click here on the citation button. I see there's one citation, and it actually takes us to the PDF where it took that information from, then highlights the paragraph where that data came from, which is really neat. And again, I can pin that note if I need to save it. I can copy this text. I can like it as a good response and as a bad response. These are mainly just for feedback for NotebookLM. Let me close out of here. And something else that's I forgot to show you is if I go into an individual source, so let's say I go into this PDF that's after you get your puppy. So it's information related to things you should note after you get your puppy. And as you can see here, I can either read the PDF down below, or NotebookLM actually gives me a summary of the paper here, and it gives me the key topics that the paper is addressing, all without me having to actually read this paper, right? If I click in one of the key topics, it will actually ask NotebookLM to discuss puppy training. It will still consider all your 6 sources, and it will give you information on puppy training based on those papers. As you can see, all these, most of these are coming from single PDF, but considered all of them when providing this answer. So the last thing that I want to show you that you can do with NotebookLM, you can actually ask it to give you outline for a research paper that you're trying to write. So again, considering all 6 sources, NotebookLM has come up with an outline that I can use to write a research paper. Save this note as outline. There you go. If I need to, I can go back, do it, and see my outline for my research paper. I can obviously also edit these if I need to. But yeah, very, very cool. So again, very simple things that you can do with it for now, but I think they're very helpful when it comes to synthesizing and obtaining conclusions from multiple data sources. Another thing that I want to show you is the whole purpose of NotebookLM is really to only provide you answers that are based on the sources that you're providing. This is why this tool is different than a ChatGPT, for example, because it's only basing, or it should only be basing, the answers that it provides to you from the sources that you're uploading into the tool. So to kind of test this, I'm going to ask it some questions about, I don't know, elephants. and there shouldn't be any information about elephants on the PDFs that I uploaded, and I'm gonna see what Notebook LM comes up with. Okay, so I've asked it to give me a summary on elephant behavior, and we'll see what it says. And there you go. As you can see, it says, I'm sorry, but I cannot provide a summary on elephant behavior as the provided sources does not contain information related to elephants. So this is what I think is really neat about this tool is obviously if you're writing a research paper or if you're doing some research on a specific topic, there's times where you don't want the AI to be creative with the answers that it provides to you. And this is exactly what Notebook LM is providing. It's providing a tool that is giving you answers, helping you digest information, but it's all based on the information that you upload, or you can control the sources of information, which I think is great. So that's it really. Really what I've shown is the premise of a Notebook LM. Sorry if a few parts were confusing, but please leave a question or comment down below and I'll try to reply if I do have the answer. Let me know if you have used this or if you plan to use this. I think this is really neat, and especially for students, this is going to be very useful digesting some of the information for projects, research papers, etc. So yeah, make sure you leave any feedback. I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Thanks.